Hi friends, it's Becky, and it is time to open up my November 2025 curated bead box. This is a monthly bead subscription where you usually get, they're mostly round shape glass beads, but you get a wide variety of them. There's usually some findings and maybe bead mix as well that will go with it, pendants, some really cool things that will add to it that gives you more to create with than just the beads, and it's usually curated to a theme. It is one of the more frugal bead subscriptions out there. It is very cost effective, and it is they've got a sister store where you can purchase any of these beads or any other beads there. They usually have some specials and they run some things at their sister site that is dollarbead.com, and that's where you can get the item numbers. So each of these kits also contains a finding starter kit. It gives you everything that you need to be able to create jewelry from that box, and I'll show that to you when I get this open. I'm giving you a little bit of time in case you get this box and you don't want spoilers, so you can hit save to watch later on this video and then come back to it after you get your box. But if you want to see what's in it, I'm going to open it up. I mean, it does sort of show what it is on the box. I'm going to be sorting it and organizing it into my 18 grit organizer. I like this organizer for this bead box because you get some pretty long strands with some larger beads. So this is a deeper well than I usually have on my 15 grit organizer, and I can take out this section here and put in my finding star kit and some of the larger pendants and things that come with this box usually. So I am really excited about this because look at the colors on this box. This is very Becky coded. I think it's going to be, honestly, maybe my favorite box this year from them. So let's get this out, and I will be reading off of here, going down that list. They do say on the box that sizes or colors may be substituted, so it depends on the availability. It usually isn't, though. But let's get all of these guys out. You can see they're very, very long strands of beads, and then you get some cool extra beads. Looks like we've got some 2 different bead mixes. We've got these really cool, are they links? They might be links, or they might be pendants actually. We'll have to take a look at that in more detail. And then we've got some other leaf pendants. But this is the finding starter kit, and it comes with everything that you need to be able to create jewelry except for the tools. You get a memory wire, you get some beading wire, you got head pins, and even though like some of them are bent like this is totally normal for head pins. They don't always come out straight. You can just bend that back out, straighten it out with either your fingers, or if you've got nylon jaw pliers, you can get that straightened out, and then it works just fine. Don't be afraid of bent head pins. And then these are crimps that you can use with the beading wire. Some ear wires to make earrings. Some clasps, these are lobster clasps. Some jump rings. And some stretch cord. So this is all in there in the Findings Starter Kit. And every single curated bead box has one. And this one is gold. It's either gold or, sorry, this one is silver. It's either gold or silver usually. For that, they try to give you everything that you need to be able to create with that. And I usually, like I said, will lay down this section of my organizer and fit that in there on the side. That's the perfect size for like the memory wire and all that. And then I can put some of my other pendants and things in there and put my beads over here on this side. So let's take a look at these beads. I love these colors. I love, love, love these colors. This is like a gorgeous plum and a fuchsia. I've got some cool tone silver. You've got some baby blues. You've got some crackle glass. Is that a gemstone? Sometimes we get gemstone strands. So let's take a look at these in more detail, and I'll get them organized into my organizer. Let's start with some of these larger beads. We've got two 10mm beads, 10mm size beads. Each of these is an 8-inch strand. One is Seafoam Glass Pearl, and I have never had any issues or problems with the pearls that I get from Curated Beadbox. They're always pretty good quality. I've never had the finish rub off or scrape off or anything like that. So I am usually pretty happy using them in jewelry pieces. So I like, it's good pearl. They give good pearl. And I love that soft seafoam color. It's kind of baby bluish, maybe a little less seafoam, a little more baby blue in my opinion. But then we've also got this ice crystal crackle glass bead, and that has all of that crackle. I like crackle glass because it has sparkle without having to have facets, and sparkle is organic. It's because the cracks go in different, the crackle goes in different directions and unexpected places. So it adds a lot of unexpected fun with that. That's those two. Then we've got two 8mm strands. The first is a stone glass pearl bead. This is a 16-inch strand, so it's twice as long as the other ones. But this is such a gorgeous cool gray. It's not like the other grays, it's a cool gray. But when I get this one in here, you'll see why I want to use an organizer that has these nice deep wells, because there are so many of these, and probably for a good reason, because there's so many great ways that you can use a neutral bead like this. Right. And then the next 8mm bead is violet jade style glass. So it's semi-opaque glass. That's the jade style. It is another 16-inch strand, and this violet is like a plum violet or something. It is beautiful. And I love that the colors here are these soft blues and these like magentas and purples and this fuchsia color. Alright, and then this one is another 16-inch strand, but it's 6mm in size. The color for this jade style glass is primrose, but I'm going to be calling it fuchsia because it is very fuchsia to me, which is perfect. I love, 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 love this color. Snip that janky end off of there to make it easier for these to come out. Destrandification. Unstringing. That's the technical term for it. Alright, and so for the gemstones, these are 6mm. The sheet just says milky white gemstone, and it is a 7 to 8-inch strand. So milky white, I'm not sure if that is a type of agate or if it's quartz. but that is what we've got. And next we've got some 1 ounces of either Frosty Designer glass bead mix or Dewy Designer glass bead mix. And I'm not sure which is which, because it doesn't say that one is seed beads and the other one is other beads. They're both glass beads, but we'll take a look at this one first for this bead mix. And it looks like this is, we've got a couple of these frosted ones with like table cut ends on them. I love those. We've got one of these elongated opalescent ovals. We've got 3 gray pearls. We've got 1 purple pearl that's a little bit larger, that's about 10 millimeters. These ones are about 8. Another 10 millimeter in a kind of purpley pink color. 1 rondelle in clear, and then several, and you may have in yours, you may have a different amount or a different mix of beads. Then I've got 5 of these sort of crackle glass purple rounds. So we're going to put these guys in here. It's the next section. And then these ones, these are like 6/0 seed beads. They're a little bit irregular size, or a little bit irregular shape, but sometimes that can be really fun when you're designing, because it can give you a little more you know, a little leeway as far as how you're designing and how things can go. So I'm just going to pick up a couple of each color and bring that up closer to the camera so we can see what we're working with. All right. So it looks like we've got these opaque, sort of almost lilac-y, kind of a pinky purple color here. We've got some metallic baby blue with a pearly metallic finish. We've got some silver metallic over here. We've got a very light pink luster finish and a light baby blue luster finish. And I think that's everyone. Oh, yep. I think that's all of the different colors of seed beads that we've got in here. Unless that is one of them. A different version. Ooh, wait. Here we go. Nope, that's the same. Okay. Looks like all of those are the same. So I am going to go ahead and get these guys scooped up in here. I really like using seed beads like these as spacers in designs. It's a fun way to add a little bit extra. And I'm still trying to decide if I want to make something after my unboxing. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. I am really feeling this though, and I think I have an idea for something that is going to use like these fuchsia beads and maybe some blue beads from in here, and maybe some of the other parts that I have yet to unbox. So let me get these guys put away first, and then we'll keep mulling around my options while I'm unboxing the rest of these. All right, we've got 4 more things to share. The first are these long bicones. These are 14 by 10 millimeters. They are silver luster with faceted glass beads. There are 8 of these. So they've got half of a side has the silver AB and the other side is clear crystal. They have pretty wide holes, so they would string really nicely on like some 2 millimeter leather or something like that. Nice big holes on those. Not all of the beads that come in the box have big holes, but some of them do. And those are really useful for things like that. Speaking of beads with big holes, it looks like these have sort of medium-sized holes. They are Summer Moon Galaxy glass beads. They are 12 millimeters in size. There are 6 of them. And they have a bit of that AB finish on them as well. I love them. I love them. Galaxy glass. All right, then we've got 8 of these charms. They are 24 by 14 millimeters in size. They're silver metal, and they are double-sided, so there isn't a wrong or right side on them. You could use them as a connector since they have an open end on this side, or you could do like multiple connection points and have them used kind of as a 1, 2, 3, 4, like a chandelier link, or just use them as a charm, some earrings, or a necklace. And then you've got these guys. These are 26 millimeter 3-leaf silver metal pendants. Oh, they have heft to them. And they do have 2 connection points. So you could connect it to a pendant. You could likewise connect it to another. Oh, I love this. Actually, I am really into this because like stacking leaf things would be so much fun. Whoop. Where are you going, buddy? There we go. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting ideas for earrings with these, actually. So what if we got these 2 and hold on. Like this to make some earrings. I'm going to need some wire. So that I can make a little link to attach and make an earring with. I kind of wanted to do, because you know, you can make all of your jewelry with these. I kind of wanted to use just what came in the kit for my little make. But you know what? You can use head pins if you don't have any craft wire or something like that. You can use head pins to make links and loops like that by just snipping off the head pin part with your flush cutters. So let me grab these flush cutters. Actually, this is our box so far. So I'm just gonna grab these And I'm tipping this down towards my mat so that when I snip it, this thing doesn't go flying. There. It only flew a little bit of a ways. So now that I've got that all cut there, let's grab some round nose pliers. I'm going to grab my other tools too. If I'm going to be making something with y'all, and I think I want to do a necklace too, so if I'm just using the findings that came in here, then I've got some chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, and my flush cutters. And for crimping, these crimps don't work with my favorite style of crimper, which is a magical crimper. So I'm going to grab my Xuron crimper, and I'm going to use that and do a taco style crimp with the beading wire. All right, so I've got that set aside there. All right. So now I'm going to make a loop at the end of this piece of wire that I just liberated from its head for a head pin. So I made a little loop like that. And then I'm going to just bend that back there so that it's centered. And now I've turned that head pin into an eye pin. And now I can stack on some beads. Use these guys as spacers. I might swap these out for some shorter ones because some of them are long, some of them are short. If I run out of room at the end for another loop, I might, or I might not. All right, now I'm going to want that to go this way and then the other one to go in the same direction. I'm just checking my loopiness on there. Do these open and close? Let me double check and see if it opens and closes, because if it does, I can just attach this directly. If it doesn't, it seems like it doesn't, so I'm going to need the jump rings for that too. All right, so we'll need the jump ring. It's going to be a whole thing. Okay, so the top of this, sorry, I was checking things out instead of this. I have the back jaw of my pliers resting on top of these beads behind me. I've got the end of the eye pin resting on this finger so that the beads don't slip off while I'm doing this. And I've got this about maybe half a centimeter open, and I'm just going to tip this back this way and close it, and that gives me a little bend right here next to my my bead. Now, I did it gently without like pressing hard. I'm not pushing down on it. I was just resting it against it and then tipping. That's all I was doing with that one. All right, I'm going to hold on to my bead, and I know from experience that this will give me about 1 centimeter's length of space. So I'm going to go ahead and snip off the rest of this wire there, and I'm going to tip it down so that it doesn't go flying, and roll my loop up. All right, with my round nose pliers. And I want these to be perpendicular, and my loops are not, so I'm just going to hold on to both of them and then adjust those. So now that both of my loops are going in the same direction, and I'm going to attach this loop to going. There you go. So you swing open the loop, and now that it's on there, I'm going going to swing it closed. There we go. Now let's get some jump rings to attach this guy right there. That jump ring, it's not going to be facing the same way. So maybe 2 jump rings. That is going to cause this to be a little bit lower on here. Wish I could just attach it directly on there. You know what I might be able to do is make this split loop. Yep, I just snipped just part of this. And now I'm going to turn it in order to open the loop. Might need to turn it a little bit more. And I'll put on. Woo! Or I could have broken this completely. That's also a possibility. Well, if that is the case, then I think the idea had merit. I was just trying to get the loops to work right. And yeah, that's all right. I still think this works as an earring. Let's put this one on there. I will put the second one together off camera because I would like to start designing a necklace with y'all. All right. So the findings that I'll use for this will be jump rings, lobster clasp. I've got jump rings out already. Lobster clasp. And I'm going to use the beading wire that came with it. I do have my favorite beading wires. This isn't my favorite, but it is beading wire that works. It will absolutely give you something that is wearable, something that can be durable. There we go. I'm just gonna try to make it with what we've got. Because a lot of times I'll pull my own findings or my own crimps or my own wire out instead of what came with the box, and I just wanted to show that you can absolutely start making things right away. All you need are the tools. All right, so here are those crimps. These are little crimp beads that they are malleable, so they can be shaped with the crimper. So they are just these little teeny tiny guys, maybe 1.5 millimeters, something like that. So I've got those guys over there. I've got the beading wire there. I've got a little earring over here that's going to be my inspiration for my stringing pattern. And there's tape on here, and I'm cutting the tape, not the wire, when I do this, because I just want to get that tape off of there and pull out some wire. This is another piece of tape. It's got 2 pieces of tape on it. All right. And I'm not unstringing the whole thing. I'm just pulling off some wire that's going to be enough for a necklace. Now you can wait to cut it until after you've got it strung. And in fact, I think I'm going to do that, but I did want to give myself enough room to maneuver on this. All right, let's get some of these guys out. Because I think we're gonna have some leafy dangles between some frosty repeats. Bright pink. And I used these smaller seed beads here, or those seed beads as some spacers there. So I'm going to pull out some of these guys. The metallic blue is what I used on the earrings, so I'm going to do this to match. Probably it'll be faster if I just scoop out some of the seed beads actually and worry about sorting or just pulling them from the pile rather than pulling out all of those blue ones individually. Okay, that's gonna be faster for us. All right. Now, I am gonna need some jump rings on these, so let me grab that baggie. And that's so that when they're strung, the leaves will face out instead of being side to side on my beading wire. One, two, three, four, 5. All right, I'm using 5 of these so that I have a center one and 2 on the sides. Do I want to make one of these more of a focal? I think I might. Will this work? Is it too blue? Maybe. Or I could save that and use this one. That's a very big hole. Yeah, I'm going to use that as a focal. And to do that, I'm going to go grab one of those head pins again and make that into a link. Again, they are maybe bent, but they can be straightened out. Just making sure that's going to be long enough for that. Remove the head from the head pin. Make a loop on one side, on one end. Make sure that closes. And then bead, bead, bead. All right, now for this one, I want my loops to be perpendicular, I think. No, I do want them to be parallel. Okay. So let's do a little bend at the top here. Snip off my excess wire. Roll this up. Into a loop. Make sure that that is perpendicular. Sorry, not perpendicular, parallel. There we go. Now for this, I'm going to swing that, add a leaf, and that will be the center point for my necklace. So I'm going to string half of it in one direction, and then once I know how long I want it to be, I can snip off my wire and string the other half. So I'm going to start at the center here, and I'm going to add one of these seed beads, and then purple, seed bead, white, seed bead, purple, and another seed bead, like that. And then, ooh, that's what I got these out for before I decided to make a little bit of a change. I need to get just holding one end of my jump ring and then twisting it open. Let's get these guys all connected. That way we can string them on and they'll actually stay put. That's very noisy. That was my my bead scooper / tweezers on top of my little dish. And every time I set this down, it was bumping it, and so it was making a little noise. So I moved it out of the way so it would stop doing that. Alright, so now I can add my leaf and go back to stringing these on here like so. And then my next leaf. Alright, now for this, for the rest of it, I am going to be just doing a stringing with alternating between these two and having a seed bead in between them. That way it'll go through pretty uninterrupted. Where am I going? That's what I'm doing. Now I like a shorter length of a necklace, so something that sits around the collarbone. Some of my friends here who also make jewelry on YouTube have started calling that length of necklace Becky length, which is really, really cute. But I'm not the first person to come up with that length of necklace, so it is not an invention of mine, and I will not claim for it to be so. But I do like a shorter length necklace, so it's not going to be super long. I'm not going to be stringing forever on here. But I would like to get to a point where I can show you how to crimp one end and then cut the correct length of wire to continue beading on the other side. So let me get one more of these on here. Now I do like to judge my length by putting it next to my skin, like up against my neck. And so I'm going to hold on to it like this, put this center point where I want it to be, and then bring the rest of the wire around my neck. And I think one more repeat of this beading pattern, or maybe two more repeats, will be long enough for it to be Becky length. But I do need to get a few more of these metallic blue. And I've got tape from the, there we go. To get that out of the way. But yeah, let's get some more of these metallic blue seed beads out here. I'm going to want them on the other half of my necklace as well. I really love a good mix. There we go. So let's do a couple more of these and then check the length again. This is how you can design without already knowing exactly how you wanted it. Oops, and I forgot to put my pink one on first. Okay, let me check that length. See how I like it. All right, I'm gonna add one more of these and a pink bead, and then I think we're gonna be good. All right, and one more to close it off. There we go. So now let's do some crimping. Got my crimp bead over here. Did I move the other crimp bead over there? I did. Okay, so I've got one crimp bead here. I'm gonna scooch in a little bit more so you can see more clearly what I'm doing with this crimp bead. Right, so usually when I crimp, I do a magical crimper. It's my favorite way of crimping. There are 3 different openings on this Xuron crimper, and then you've got this little squishy jaw part. Now I call this type of crimp a taco crimp because you fold it over the wire. And I'll show you in just a minute how that works. So I've got this little crimp bead on here, and it's very small. So I think it's going to work best with that smaller section right there at the end when I actually do the close crimping. All right, I'm going to bend my wire back and put it through that crimp. Scooch the crimp a little bit closer to the end so that I've got a nice little loop. I want to keep my wire from crossing over. I want it to stay parallel so that when we fold it, the wires stay straight and they don't cross over. Because that's what this little jaw here on the back does, is that folds it. This is why I call it a taco crimp. I didn't hear that from anybody else. It was just what it made me think of. A taco crimp, where you crimp down like that and you can see it's sort of hugging one part of the wire and then the other end is hugging the other part of the wire. And then I'm going to take it in this little section here and we're going to fold that over. Do it gently. That way you don't crush the crimp. And just go around gently. Right. You can put a crimp cover over this, but that is a good solid crimp on there. And then when I get my beads up against that, it's just fine. Now to guesstimate how much more wire I need in order to cut it, I'm going to just lay my necklace out here, hold that center bit there, and that's about how much wire I'll need to string it. But I'm going to give myself a few more inches here on the end and cut it here so that I have room for crimping. That's how you do that. Alright, so I'm going to put this wire away now that I don't need it out here anymore. And I'm going to string the other side of this necklace basically the same way I strung this one. And it'll be a little bit different, like size-wise, if I put both sides next to each other, because there's disparity in the size of the seed beads in between each of them. But the same order that I did that is what I'm going to follow on the other side of this. So I'll meet you back here after I've got that strung, and we will crimp the other end and attach a clasp and closure, and then get one more last look at our curated bead box before the end of the evening. Okay, so now that I've got the other part of this strung, I'm ready to crimp it and then attach my closure bits, my lobster clasp and another jump ring to it. And I'm just feeding the end of my wire through my crimp bead and just these next couple of beads here so that I have a little bit of overlap at the end of that crimp. There we go. And then I'm just wiggling with my thumb to give myself a little bit of extra room between that crimp bead and that, and then making sure that we are able to get to it. It's a little bit harder to ensure that the wires aren't crossed when you do it this way, but you can guesstimate a little bit more if you need to. I'm just doing a little bit of a bend there and then putting it into the mountain and valley for a proper smush. And I'll fold that crimp over gently. There we go. Love it, love it, love it already. Love the silver leaf beads. I love pink. I love the blue. I love the frosty tones. This is a fantastic curation. I am so happy with it. It's the Morning Frost is what it's the theme is, and that is just perfect. I also stick with it because I found a way to attach that second leaf to the earrings, and I'll show you that on my second earring over here. But first, let's get these jump rings attached. You could, if you wanted to, if you've got wire guardians, you can use those. They did not come with the box, and as I said, I wanted to show you guys that you can use everything that is in the box and create jewelry with it. So I am just using what's in this box for this make. The only thing that I'm adding are my tools. Everything else came in here. And I'm just attaching a jump ring here to the end of this wire. So that I have something to attach my closure to. Yeah, when this is on, gravity will do a lot of the work of helping these dangle nicely. Alright, but yeah, let me show you real quick how I attached this other leaf to this. Basically, I just used a jump ring and attached this leaf to the loop on the link that I made. So let's grab that, put it through that loop, attach a leaf, and close it up. And then rotate that around, and now it should sway around and swing around while it's being worn, and those leaves will probably jump in front of and behind each other as it's being worn. So it's going to be fun and add some dynamic movement to this earring as we go. There we go. That is my little project that I made with the Morning Frost Curated bead box. And here's the rest of my beads. I still have so many beads left over and plenty of findings to be able to create more things with them. I'm just putting some of these findings back in there, like the crimps and that elastic cord that you can use for stretch bracelets. All right, I will put a link in the description below to Curated bead box. If you are interested in subscribing, I do have a coupon you can use that'll get you a discount on your first month subscription. And I'll have that code and the link in the description below. So check that out, and check out this bead subscription if you are looking for something that is fun and, you know, pretty consistent throughout the year. Makes a really great, if you're new to beading, makes a really great way to build your stash. But even experienced beaders can still find some really fun ways to use these beads. Until next time, my friends, happy beading.